I... I just can't believe I've lost my nephew and 2 sons. My wife is taking all of this really hard. Just yesterday, the police found my stepson, Manuel Rembega, dead. A self-inflicted gunshot to the head. The police gave me Manuel's diary, which he periodically wrote in. As I was reading through it, hoping for answers, his last few entries will forever haunt me. I am showing the last entries as the ones before were normal and not out of the ordinary. May God help us all. May 12th, 2011. It's been over a week since my younger half-brother Emilio Cortez and cousin Hector Flores passed away. Their deaths were ruled as suicide by self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the head, but there is currently an investigation on it due to the suspicious deep cuts on their chests and wrists. However, I couldn't help but feel that the shady VHS tape they purchased at a garage sale was somehow responsible. Because in the living room they were found in, the words "every day above ground is a good day" was written in blood. It's a quote from a movie, and the tape itself was found a few feet away from their bodies. Then again, I'm a very superstitious person, so, I could just be paranoid. I don't know why I have such a strange feeling about the tape, though. The tape itself was the movie Scarface. However, I never got around to watching it despite being such a huge fan of the actors. May 13th, 2011. I want to go back home. Fort Worth is a depressing city to me now. And while I did grow up here and have good memories from my childhood, it will now be overshadowed by my brother's and cousin's double funeral. The only good thing was that Oakwood Cemetery has a good view of the downtown skyline of the city that I once loved. I already booked my flight, so I guess I better start packing. May 14th, 2011. My mom came over to visit the motel I was staying at. I wish I could help her out. She's seriously depressed over all of this. My stepdad Rodolfo came over also, and I just want to cry with him. Emilio was his only biological child. I gotta get to the airport. My flight back home leaves in an hour. My mom told me to keep an eye on my mail, so I will. May 17th, 2011. I just received in the mail the Scarface tape and a CD. I put the tape aside and played the CD on my computer. It was a video of Emilio and Hector in what looked like the Polytechnic Heights area of Fort Worth, just goofing off, walking around with 6 of their friends. Their area was confirmed when I saw the abandoned 1940s-era Poly Theater off Vaughn Boulevard. Then they walked into a neighborhood where Hector lived, and soon they started their usual antics once they were in the house. I soon started to get teary-eyed as Emilio said to the camera, "Man, Rebenga, you should have come with us. Look at what you're missing out on." Then the video stopped. When it played again, it showed everyone watching the tape on TV, and I could clearly make out the movie, mostly due to the fact that the camera was facing the TV. At the part where Tony Montana watches Omar Suarez get executed by hanging from the helicopter, I noticed that things started to get weird. The film started to distort like all old VHS tapes do, and everyone started to say that the tape was really messed up. Then the video just abruptly stops. And at this point, I started crying as I had realized the video was made 2 days before Hector's and Emilio's suicide. May 19th, 2011. I decided to watch the tape as I didn't have the movie on DVD. Everything went smooth until the same scene where Omar is executed. The tape then started to distort. After maybe a minute, all I heard was disembodied voices and more static. After waiting patiently for another minute, the tape did resume. However, what I saw disturbed me. Tony was staring straight at me, and no matter where I moved, his eyes, they would follow me. After a few minutes, he said in his thick accent, "So you're gonna stop moving, Chico? Don't worry. I'm not gonna hurt you. At least not now." He then lets out a very creepy demonic laugh, and then the film resumed to Omar's execution. I took the tape out, and I started to wonder if this had to do with Emilio's and Hector's suicide. The logical part of me thinks the marijuana I was smoking was laced with something. But I smoked it hours ago, so, it couldn't be that. I mean, either way, that scared the shit out of me, and it was burned deep into my mind, and the image stayed with me throughout the day. May 20th, 2011. I couldn't sleep at all last night. All I could think of was the laugh Tony had made. It played over and over again in my mind, and I'm admittedly scared to go to the bathroom. I went 2 hours ago, and when I looked in the mirror, I clearly saw Tony standing behind me, smiling at me with this look of pure evil. His white suit was stained with blood, and his face slowly morphed into that of something demonic. He slowly walked towards my reflection and just stabbed it from behind. I watched my reflection slump to the ground dead, and Tony, who at this point transformed into some sort of demon, looked straight into my eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and the pupils were red. We made eye contact for about a few minutes before pointing at me, saying in a low, booming voice, "Your brother's soul is mine, and you will be next." After he said that, he vanished, and my reflection was back. I left my house afterwards, and it's like no matter where I go, I always see Tony in the corner of my eye. I'm gonna go visit my mom. I haven't seen her since the funeral, and hopefully this will get my mind off everything. May 21st, 2011. I arrived back in Fort Worth and went to my mom's house. Once again, I saw Tony in the mirror. He had a cigar in his mouth and he just kept staring at me. He then made a big toothy grin and vanished. I think I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's real anymore. However, I'm gonna just ignore it. I'm here for my family. Not to worry about some demonic fictional character stalking me. I spent the rest of the day talking on the phone to a friend that was on the video with Emilio. Strange to hear that 4 out of the 6 guys had vanished. He tells me he feels like he's being stalked, but after telling him my story, he gets extremely scared and starts to panic. I could swear that I heard a roar in the background, and that's when the call got disconnected. He later called me sounding normal and apologizing for earlier. He thought that he had seen something enter his house. and after a few more minutes of chatting, we hung up and I went to bed. May 23rd, 2011. I have had enough of this bullshit. Now I know Tony is stalking me, and now I truly believe 100% that he is what drove my little brother and cousin to suicide. I looked into my suitcase and there was the tape. It's like he's mocking me. Like he knows I'm scared. Well, I showed him. I got the tape and I stomped on it and smashed it until it was completely destroyed. Maybe now this will end the nightmare. May 27th, 2011. It's been a surprisingly normal 4 days. After I hugged my mom and stepdad goodbye, I booked a flight back to LA, and now we'll have to drive back home to Fontana. On the flight, I met a cute woman who sat next to me. Her name is Myra. Turns out she lives not far from me, so I think I'll call her. You know, try to set up a date. Wish me luck. June 5th, 2011. It's been 1 month since the suicides, and I'm glad to say that I had not seen Tony at all. I think that the destruction of the tape finally got rid of that menace. And now that the nightmare is over, tomorrow I will watch Emilio's and Hector's last video one more time before I put it away. On a brighter note, me and Myra really hit it off. I'm glad to say I may have found love for the first time in a long time. I'm actually really happy. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. So, good night. June 6th, 2011. I put the CD of Hector and Emilio in my computer again and began to watch it. Everything was fine, going smoothly, up until the part where they enter Hector's house. The video started to distort and the disembodied voices in the background appeared just like on the Scarface tape. I thought it was odd because this is a CD, not a VHS tape, so, I didn't really know what to think. After a few minutes, the video stopped distorting, and instead of seeing Hector and Emilio and their friends watching the film, they were all staring right at me. Just like Tony did in the tape, right? I couldn't believe it. It was happening again, but with them. And after a few minutes, everyone except Emilio started chanting, "Rabenga, Rabenga, Rabenga," in an endless loop, while Emilio continued to stare at me. He then tilted his head down with his eyes looking at me, reminiscent of the Kubrick stare, and shouted in a deep voice, "Rabenga!" Everyone kept chanting, "Rabenga, Rabenga, Rabenga," and I screamed in terror and quickly took the CD out of the computer, but even then that didn't work. Emilio then said to me, "Nice try, brother, but you should have never destroyed the tape." I asked him what he wanted, and he told me, "We want you to join us. Only in death can we all be together again." He then explained that all 6 of their friends had committed suicide within the next few weeks after I had watched the tape, and said that now that I had watched it, that I was next. The computer then went black, and I was never able to turn it back on. June 7th, 2011. I've officially gone insane. I would find nonsense words on the wall, then in the blink of an eye they would vanish. I look in the mirror, and every single time without fail, Emilio would appear instead of my reflection. He was covered in blood. His eyes were red and filled with rage, and I would see blood spilling from his mouth. Then he would shout, "Rabenga," and vanish. Myra left me because I attacked her when she came over. I just don't understand. When the door opened, I swear, on my life, I saw Tony again and attacked him with a baseball bat. After I opened my eyes, it was Myra. And she just walked out and screamed. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to leave this house. I have money right now, so I'm going to buy myself a little present. June 8th, 2011. I can't take this any longer. I've purchased a 9mm yesterday, and I just wrote a message on Facebook to all my friends and family, telling them I love them and will miss them. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I mean, I hope God can forgive me, but I can't take this no more. I had just realized the similarities between the movie and me, Hector and Emilio. The character that tries to rob Tony, his name was Hector the Toad. And the politician who Tony assassinated in Freedom Town, his name was Emilio Rabenga. And shortly before the scene in which he was murdered, the crowd was chanting, Rabenga, 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 just like they did in the video. It was like me and Emilio and Hector were destined to be doomed with this curse. Maybe our 6 friends weren't meant to die by Tony's curse. Maybe they were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. I have to go now. I can hear them now calling me. I have to join them. But before I do that, I must leave a message to whoever finds my body that their lives' insanity is to not be taken for granted. Now I'm just going to grab this razor and slash my wrist so that I can write my last message with my blood on the wall for whoever finds me. Hopefully they'll read it and understand that every day above ground is a good day. It's heartbreaking to see a timeline of someone's descent into insanity, especially of the boy who I raised since he was 4. I went over to the house who had the garage sale that sold the alleged cursed tape, and they told me that they never owned the movie, that it was there from the previous owners of the house. And after some research, I learned that the previous owners of the house were involved in the occult and devil worshipping. And now I hear that there are similar stories to what happened to my sons and nephew all around the city. The odd part? They are all linked to objects that were sold at that garage sale. After I tried to go to the house again to reveal this information, I discovered that the house was burned down. Now with the house gone and the owners nowhere in sight, it seems that my quest for answers will never be completed. Rest in peace to Emilio Cortez, Hector Flores, and Manuel Rebenga. I love and miss you guys. Manuel, I'm sorry. I feel like your death was my fault. I was the one who mailed the tape to you in the first place. I love you, and I hope you can forgive me. I will never take my life and sanity for granted. I will live my life to the fullest and pray to God I can see you again when my time comes. Until the day we meet again, may you and Emilio and Hector find the peace in death y'all didn't get in life. Your loving father and uncle, Rodolfo Cortez.